Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of my top waiver wire targets and streamable defenses for Week 10 of this NFL season. Can't believe we're already in the double digits of the schedule at this point. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in this video, give you guys my top quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and flex ad of the week. As always, guys, just in case, even at this point of the year, I have a first-time listener. These players I'm about to speak about, they do have to have at least 50% roster availability, so there's a good chance that they're out there for you to pick up. My quarterback out of the week, now I don't think he's a long-term option for you. This is more of a pick up off the waivers and stream him this week if your quarterback is on a bye, if you're a Jordan Love manager, for example, or if the quarterback you have has been up and down, a matchup based quarterback, and he has a rough matchup this week. You could turn to Daniel Jones. He's available in 89% of the leagues. Now, this past weekend, he had 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. And what you do like for Daniel Jones is his rushing ability. He gives him a higher floor as a fantasy quarterback. He had 7 rushes for 54 yards and a touchdown. He's got a good matchup this week going against the Carolina Panthers, who are tied for the 4th most allowed points per game against the quarterback position. Their defense has also struggled to stop the run, so I can see Daniel getting, those 50 plus rushing yards, maybe a touchdown on the ground. So again, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be a long-term option, but if you need an option at the quarterback spot for this week, I think Daniel Jones is not a bad option for you to turn to. My running back out of the week, I talked about Tyler Algier in the same type of scenario. You guys are probably going to get a lot of this from me over the next couple weeks as we get closer to the fantasy playoffs. But the rookie running back for Buffalo, Ray Davis, he's available in 79% of the leagues. Going to back kind of to what I was saying, it's at the point of the season where you need to start kind of planning ahead and making sure if you have a running back you've been depending on, like a James Cook, you're going to want to have Ray Davis as his handcuff sitting on your bench just in case James Cook gets injured. As I said last week about Tyler Algier with Bijan Robinson, every year it seems like a running back gets hurt right when the playoffs start, and the last thing you want to do is have to fight for your injured running back's handcuff off the waivers. It's better to plan ahead and have him on your bench. Now, he's been getting more involved in the offense over this past month. This past weekend, 4 rushes, 20 yards. He had 2 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown on 2 targets. Going against the Colts this week, who has been middle of the pack as far as fantasy points per game. I don't think you want to play Ray Davis this week. Again, this is more of a planning ahead, making sure you have insurance for James Cook if you're a manager and you have him on your rosters. My wide receiver ad of the week, I am going to go with that rookie wide receiver in Carolina, Xavier Legette. He's available in 73% of the leagues right now. Loved him entering the draft this past class. This past weekend, 4 receptions for 33 yards and a touchdown on 6 targets. Now, the last 2 games, he's gotten at least 6 targets and a touchdown in those games. And he's got a pretty decent matchup going against this Giants defense, who's tied for the 11th most points per game against the wide receiver position. So he's a decent option for you if you do have wide receivers that are on buys this week. And what I like about him too is Bryce Young is coming off the best game. Now, they haven't said Bryce is going to be the starter going forward, but I think that's going to be the right move for Carolina to do. And the Panthers just don't have the greatest defense, so I could see the Panthers having to throw the ball a lot. And they traded away Deontay Johnson, they traded away Jonathan Mingo, so I think Xavier Legette he's going to see more consistent targets and maybe even see an uptick in targets and volume where he can be a weekly option. I would hold off on that, but he should definitely be stashed on benches this week. But like I mentioned, if you do need a spot starter this week, I do like him as an option. My tight end out of the week, I am going to go with Hunter Henry, available in 64% of the leagues. Love him just because he's paired with a rookie quarterback, and you guys probably heard, if you guys have been following me along over the years, I've always said rookie quarterbacks tend to love their tight ends. It's their safety valve when everything breaks down. This past weekend, Hunter Henry has had 7 receptions for 56 yards on 8 targets. In the last 4 games, he's gotten at least 5+ targets, going against this Bears defense, who are middle of the pack against the tight end position. But I think with him seeing a consistent target load, if you needed an option at the tight end position, he's not a bad option to turn to. My flex out of the week is basically the same thing I talked about with Ray Davis, right? The rookie running back for Arizona, Trey Benson. He's available in 84% of the leagues. This past weekend, he had 8 rushes for 37 yards and a touchdown. He had 1 reception for 18 yards on 1 target. I don't think he's startable this week. Going against the Jets, middle of the pack. Even if he had a great matchup, I still think it's just like Ray Davis. I just think this guy, if you are a James Conner manager, you're going to want to stash Trey Benson as the handcuff on your bench in case something happens with Conner. I mean, we have seen James Conner get hurt throughout his career. And James Conner has been a very dependable running back for his fantasy football managers. But if he were to go down over this next month ahead of the playoffs, you don't want to have to fight for Benson off the waivers. So if you're a manager of a manager of James Conner, I highly recommended stashing Trey Benson on your bench just in case anything happens with Conner. Moving into my top streamable defenses, I will go ahead and say this, guys. I don't love these streamable defenses options. This has been probably the worst week of streaming defenses. So if you maybe streamed the Eagles defense last week, the Chargers I forget who the Chargers are. Yeah, the Chargers do have a good matchup. I remember saying that a couple weeks ago. Or like I know there are some leagues where the Bears were available in some leagues and the Bears weren't available. They might be a better option than some of these guys. But just like the players, for me to like go in depth and speak about these streaming defenses, they do have to have at least 50% roster availability. I'll say this. I feel like maybe not the top one, but most of these defenses are probably going to be a high risk, high reward streaming option. So again, I hope maybe the defense you streamed last week has a good matchup for you to stream again this week, because I just don't really love the streaming options in week 10. But let me go ahead and get into it. My top streaming option though, I am going to go with the Giants against the Panthers. The Giants are available in 93% of the leagues right now. They got a good matchup against the Panthers offense, who has struggled throughout the season, even though, like I mentioned, Bryce Young is coming off the best game of his season. The Giants, what I really like about them is they do have a really good front with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns. Surprisingly, the Giants actually have the most sacks in the NFL, and then they're going against the Panthers offense, who are tied for the 3rd most giveaways. So that's a potential high ceiling play for you if they can force those turnovers. And what kind of gives them a high floor too is they are only scoring 15.7 points per game. That's the 4th fewest in the league. So yeah, that would be my top option if you don't have a better options like maybe like the Bears or the Eagles that are sitting out there right now on the waivers. My other one, and by the way, this game's in Germany too. This Panthers-Giants game. Apologize to Germany fans that you got to deal with 2 of the worst teams in the league. But the thing with these international games, there's weird things that always happen, like turnovers. Patriots Jaguars, we saw that like a 98-yard punt return touchdown, if I remember that right, for the Jaguars. So weird things like that happen. So maybe that could happen if you wanted to stream the Panthers defense. This is going to be like a 12, like these following defenses, these are going to be like 12, 14 team leagues, streaming options if you don't have a better option out there. But the Panthers against the Giants in that international matchup, Panthers of course are available in 99% of the leagues right now. Reason why I do like it though is the Giants they have given up the 5th most sacks this year, and then they're only scoring 15.4 points per game. That is the 3rd fewest in the NFL. So yeah. Again, I don't necessarily love these options, guys. My number 3 streaming defense, I'm going with the Patriots against the Bears. The Patriots are available in 85% of the leagues. This is strictly because I think they can get some sacks on Caleb Williams this weekend. The Bears have allowed the 4th most sacks in the NFL. Darnell Wright, one of their starting linemen, got hurt. I believe he's going to be missing this game. So that should give opportunity for them. Then you got Christian Gonzalez, who's one of the better young cornerbacks in the NFL that play for the Patriots. So I'm hoping he can get his hands on an interception and take it home. Again, probably a 12, 14 plus team league streaming option for you. One that maybe I could have ranked higher just because of the disaster that's gone on with the Saints. But I got the Falcons against the Saints. Falcons are available in 91% of the leagues. Maybe they get the post bump. There's always that trend where the team that fires their coach wins the next game. But I just think there's a lot of too much bad juju going on for the Saints. So that's why I do think the Falcons are a decent streaming option. More likely, they won't have Chris Olave, who unfortunately suffered another concussion. So I don't expect him to be in the lineup. The Saints traded away Marshawn Lattimore. Now, that doesn't affect their offense, but it's just like they traded away one of their best players. It's just like a depressing state of a franchise right now. So there's no stats that really say that you would want to stream against the Saints offense, because the Saints offense are not giving up sacks. They're not really turning the ball over. They have put up points at times, but the Falcons defense have been solid at times, at least taking the ball away. I think they're coming off their best game as far as getting sacks, so hopefully they can continue against New Orleans in Week 10. Number 5 one. I am going to go with the Cardinals against the Jets. Cardinals are available in 97% of the leagues. Again, like I said, there are not great streaming options. I know the Jets kind of looked their best in that second half against the Texans. We'll see if that can continue for them against the Cardinals, but if you were to miss out on all the defenses I talked about, if you wanted to roll the dice on the Cardinals and bet on the Jets offense completely collapsing and being the bad Jets offense that we've seen throughout the season, I could understand that. But again, I would try to get those top 3 options, maybe the Falcons, and then, man, I hope you don't have to depend on the Cardinals. Again, I do not love a lot of these streaming options, though, in Week 10. So hopefully you have somebody that you can carry over from Week 9. So yeah, those are my top waiver wire targets and streamable defenses for Week 10 of the NFL season. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Please make sure you either follow or subscribe to all my social media platforms. I'm on X. That's the main platform you can find me on. I'm also on YouTube, TikTok, and I am on Instagram. And then other than that, you guys will get me tomorrow night with my top starts and sits for Week 10. So I'll talk to you then. Enjoy your night, your morning. Peace out. Talk to you soon.